Welcome back, golfers. Today we're going to continue our talk about shallowing the club, and we're going to do it today talking about footwork. Footwork's super important. I want to make sure you guys are doing it correctly. If you didn't watch my video last time about shallowing the club, hit that button up in the corner. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hit that bell or hit that subscription button down below. So footwork, how is footwork going to help us? So after setup, I think footwork is the most important aspect of our golf swing to get down correctly. You've never seen a good golfer with bad footwork. It just doesn't happen. Footwork determines how where the club bottoms out. It determines how much weight we can put forward into impact, and that all creates more effortless power into the golf swing and helps you hit those golf shots that you want to. If you're struggling with contact in the ground, you really need to work on your footwork, and today's video will really help you do that. So everything in the golf swing starts with setup. Setup is by far the most important aspect in creating a successful shot. If you don't set up properly a shot, you're manipulating through the whole sequence, and you're going to struggle to be consistent with that unless you got really good hand-eye coordination. But even then, hitting from a poor position is just going to create inconsistency. So we're talking about how we move our body from feet to hips. So that starts in our setup, and we get set up over that golf ball. What I want to see is that center of that hip bone to sit right on your back of your heel. If you get into that position, you're going to feel nice and balanced, nice athletic position. It's also going to help you get those hips to start tilting down, which will give you that nice straight spine angle. If our hips start going forward and then you try getting into it, then we might get a rounded back, and we don't want to be in that position. If you're standing straight up, what you're going to do is just press the hips back. You're going to feel them tilt. You're going to feel the tailbone come up and the back of the hamstring elongate. That'll put you right where that center of that hip position will be the back of that heel. So the next aspect we're going to talk about is our knees. So our knees need to move in a certain direction. In order to do that, we got to set our feet in the right place. So that means our right foot is going to sit square, and our left foot is going to slit just a little bit open. Not a lot, just a little bit. It'll make that left side easier to get into, and also allow your knees to pivot correctly. So if our right foot is out, which is a pivot foot, it's going to shift forward, and if that's shifting forward, you see how it pushes my hip underneath me, and we don't want to do that. So we want to go nice and square on that right foot and a little flared out on that lead foot. So when we move the knees now, the lead knee will work towards that trail toe. So I want it to go right there. So it'll look like this. You're going to come back, and it'll go there. So you can see that opens up the hips, as you push that knee back, and it allows the body to pivot correctly to get a 45-degree angle with those hips. And you can see when I do that, those hips are still aiming down. I don't want the hips to go flat. I want the hips to go down, just like that. All right, so that puts us into our load in our backswing. Right there, so 45. First move down is going to be with the knees. You can see how they square up. Right there, knees are squaring up, hands are very high up into that transition, and you can see it shallows out the club as soon as I do that. So that comes from initiating the core, the glutes, the hips, inside that right leg. You're doing basically this move as you're making that first move into your left side. It opens everything up. From that, we're going to talk about what the right knee does now. Now the right knee is going to go straight towards the target, through those shoelaces and towards where we're trying to hit it to, which is out that way. And you can see when I do that, it's going to take that hip line and it's going to maintain it. So I'm going to be able to go here, there's the transition, and then we're going to go that way. And I can maintain that hip line by doing that. That'll kick this hip out, knee drives towards the target. If we do that in the right sequence, load, transition, to finish. And if those knees are working correctly and our feet are working correctly, and hopefully our hips are working correctly and it's putting us in the right impact position through the golf ball. So a couple good drills that I like using with my students, and I had a student that I worked with today named Jose, and I'm going to show you some video of his before and after. And these are the drills that we did to make him get his sequence better with his lower body, which helped him shallow the club through the transition. So the first drill we did was a core drill, which we've talked about before, where we take the club up, we pause at belly button height, then swing to finish. And we do that, 4, 5, 6 times, so we really get the feeling of using the middle part of our body, the hips and the glutes, to hit the ball rather than trying to throw it with our arms. Second part of that is we take it back with no pause now. We go to belly button height all the way through. Third part, parallel to the ground with that left arm or the lead arm, and then all the way to finish on that position. And then last one was to the top, transition, so we go to the top and then full swing through to finish. So that was the first drill that we did with Jose today, and that just is getting the lower body to start activating, tightens everything up, because the faster we move our hips, the more we're going to feel in the core, and we just build up that feeling all the way through. And each time you ask yourself, did I feel it in the core? If you felt it in the core, you're doing it correctly. The next drill I did with Jose was a step drill. So basically, we set up normal to the golf ball, bring our left foot to our right, or our lead foot to our right, or our trail side, and then we take the club back. And by the time you get your hands about belly button height, we're going to start initiating the step, and that will allow for that transition to happen sooner in the sequence. So we'll take it back to about there. When we make the step, and you can see as soon as I make that step, my knees want to square up. So when I make that transition, my knees are further ahead in the sequence, and then I can swing to the finish. So after that move and getting that done, which takes a little bit of time to get the sequence right, if you're doing that step drill and it's feeling tight in the hips, you need to step sooner. If you're doing it correctly, it feels like it just flows. Taking it there, take it back, step, and swing. Just everything opens up and flows. You can hit balls this way. It's a great drill. Just gets you through and gets you open. So the last part we did was a part 2 of that sequence, and that is what I call the Tom Watson drill, which is basically, if you watch Tom Watson swing, he takes this nice lift of his left heel up, and then his first move is that same feeling as that step. It's a squish of the heel, just like the step. You're squishing into that ground, and then the swing happens after that. And the whole point of all this is to stop focusing on trying to create lag from the top, because creating lag from the top is really difficult. So hold on to this. What we want to do is instead create lag from the bottom. So when we take the club to the top, we now initiate the first move, which keeps this arm connected to the body, because I'm not really doing anything with the arms, just connected with the body. And that allows the club to shallow, and then from there, the swing happens. So that's why we get the squish with the left heel, and then the swing. And if you work on these things in sequence, you'll see where Jose was when he came into impact. If you watch where the knees position is, he was about here at impact, with where his knees got squared up to the target. By the time, which we're going to show here in a second, when he got through his sequence, when he was about here now in his sequence of when he got his knees squared up, which is my benchmark for all golfers, when you're trying to get better. No, there aren't good golfers that swing from this position with knees squaring up. It just doesn't work. So we get to the top, that knee position there, you can see that whole, posture position. hands are high, knees are squared up. This is the position we need to get into to be a better golfer. That will allow more time for your weight to get to the left, putting more energy into that handle, getting the hands further ahead, getting us in a better impact position, and allowing us to use the big muscles in our body rather than just swinging with our arms and our hands, which doesn't give you any power.
So this is a swing lesson we had with Jose. And things you can watch in the footwork is, watch where the knees get at the bottom of the transition. So the knees square up, that's the bottom of our transition. So right there they square up, and that's the before his first swing. We watch it all the way through first. Now let's watch where the bottom of the knees get to. This is before we did any instruction. And now let's watch his after. And those red lines at the top is just showing how the club flattens out through the transition. So now you can see where his hands get to now after we've done our drills. And his hands are near the top of his chest. And the club is flattened out considerably. Now if you watch that final move going through, you can see because his knees have squared up sooner, he's allowing his body to put more weight forward. And when he gets to impact, you see how open his body is compared to his original position. So this was a huge change, and this is all done by the lower body creating more lag, not by concentrating on what the arms and the hands are doing.
Thank you guys for watching this week. I hope you can take those drills and those tips and apply it to your swings. When we get down to the bottom of the transition, those knees square up sooner, our hands are higher, the club will then shallow out and allow us to swing to the target more effortlessly and more powerfully and give you more control. Remember, if your feet aren't working, your swing's not working. I'll catch you guys next time.